Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. When Srila Prabhupada came to America, he once said, "Don't think that I am just saying dogs and cats. I am seeing dogs and cats." And I just happened to see a little, I just read the headline, but I didn't read very much. But there's a phenomenon going on in America now. It's all about these masks. There's a large percentage of the population that just are rebelling against wearing the masks, even though it's the best thing for their health and for the health of their loved ones, and they're pulling guns out of each other. And in the grocery store, when they are asked to put the mask on when they check out, they're turning upside down their basket and spreading the groceries all over the store and storming out. This is going on. And it's going to go on more and more, and probably in more intense ways. So there's never been a time when vibrating Srila Prabhupada's books has been more needed. And here we are in Hythe, tucked away in the southeast coast of England, just next to the English Channel, reading Sri Caitanya-caritämrta every day without fail. So thank you to all of you out there in cyberspace for coming to hear, and please, sharing means caring, so please share it with others. Let's try to increase, because people are going mad after sense gratification, just as the Bhagavatam said. Okay, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made a beautiful poetic glorification of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. He says, in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. What to speak of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Okay, we reached the 10th chapter of the Ädi-lilä, Caitanya-caritämrta, the description of the Chaitanya tree, all the branches and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. These are all the eternal associates of Lord Chaitanya, and they were spreading the holy name of the Lord and the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead everywhere they went. We'll start with text 63. We just heard about Shivananda Sen and his sons. Now, Sri Ballabha Sen and Sri Kanta Sen were also sub-branches of Shivananda Sen, for they were not only his nephews, but also unalloyed devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. When Lord Nityananda Prabhu rebuked Shivananda Sen on the way to Puri, these two nephews of Shivananda left the company as a protest and went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. The Lord could understand the feelings of the boys, and he asked his personal assistant, Govinda, to supply them prasadam until the party of Shivananda arrived. During the Rath Yatra Sankirtan festival, these two brothers were members of the party led by Mukunda. In the Gauraganodesh Dipika 174, it is said that the gopi whose name was Katyayani appeared as Srikanta Sen. Text 64. Govindananda and Govindadatta, the 25th and 26th branches of the tree, were performers of kirtan in the company of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Govindadatta was the principal singer in Lord Chaitanya's kirtan party. Purport. Govindadatta appeared in the village of Sukachara, near Kadadaha. Text 65. Sri Vijay Das, the 27th branch, another of the Lord's chief singers, gave the Lord many books written by hand. Purport. Formerly there were no printing presses or printed books. All books were handwritten. Precious books were kept in manuscript form in temples or other important places, and anyone who was interested in a book had to copy it by hand. Vijay Das was a professional writer who copied many manuscripts and gave them to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 66. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Vijay Das the name Ratnabahu, jewel-handed, because he copied many manuscripts for him. The 28th branch was Krishna Das, who was very dear to the Lord. He was known as Akinchana Krishna Das. Purport. Akinchana means one who possesses nothing in this world. Text 67. The 29th branch was Sridhar, a trader in banana tree bark. He was a very dear servant of the Lord. On many occasions, the Lord played jokes on him. Purport. Sridhar was a poor Brahmana who made a living by selling banana tree bark to be made into cups. Most probably, he had a banana tree garden and collected the leaves, skin, and pulp of the banana trees to sell daily in the market. He spent 50% of his income to worship the Ganges, and the balance he used for his subsistence. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his civil disobedience movement in defiance of the Qazi, Sridhar danced in jubilation. The Lord used to drink water from his water jug. Sridhar presented a squash to Shachi Devi to cook before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. Every year, he went to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. According to Kavi Karnapur, Sridhar was a cowherd boy of Vrindavan, whose name was Kusumasava. In his Gauraganudesh Dipika 133, it is stated, Kola Bechataya Khyata Panditak Shridaro Dvijaha Asid Vraji Hasya Karo Yo Namna Kusumasavaha. The cowherd boy, known as Kusumasava in Krishna Lila, later became Kolabecha Sridhar during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila at Navadvip. Text 68. Every day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly snatched fruits, flowers, and pulp from Shridhar and drank from his broken iron pot. Text 69. The 30th branch was Bhagavan Pandit. He was an extremely dear servant of the Lord. But even previously he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, who always kept the Lord within his heart. 70. The 31st branch was Jagadish Pandit, and the 32nd was Hiranya Mahashaya, unto whom Lord Chaitanya in his childhood showed his causeless mercy. Purport. Jagadish Pandit was formerly a great dancer in Krishna-lilā and was known as Chandrahasa. Regarding Hiranya Pandit, it is said that once when Lord Nityananda, decorated with valuable jewels, was staying in his home, all night long a great thief attempted to plunder these jewels, but was unsuccessful. Later he came to Nityananda Prabhu and surrendered unto him. Text 71. In their two houses, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged food on the Ekadashi day and personally ate it. Purport. The injunction to fast on Ekadashi is especially meant for devotees. On Ekadashi, there are no restrictions regarding food that may be offered to the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the food of Lord Vishnu in his ecstasy as Vishnu Tattva. Text 72. The 33rd and 34th branches were the two students of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Purushottam and Sanjaya, who were stalwart students in grammar. They were very great personalities. Purport. These two students were inhabitants of Navadvip and were the Lord's first companions in the Sankirtan movement. According to the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Purushottam Sanjaya was the son of Mukunda Sanjaya, but the author of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta has clarified that Purushottam and Sanjaya were two people, not one. Text 73. Banamali Pandit, the 35th branch of the tree, was very much celebrated in this world. He saw a golden club and plough in the hands of the Lord. Purport. Vanamali Pandit saw Lord Chaitanya in the ecstasy of Balaram. This is described vividly in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Anchakanda, chapter 9. Text 74. The 36th branch, Buddhimanta Khan, was extremely dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always prepared to carry out the Lord's orders, and therefore he was considered to be a chief servant of the Lord. Purport. Shri Buddhimanta Khan was one of the inhabitants of Navadvip. He was very rich, and it is he who arranged for the marriage of Lord Chaitanya with with Vishnu Priya, the daughter of Sanatan Mishra, who was the priest of the local zamindar. He personally defrayed all the expenditures for the marriage ceremony. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was attacked with Vayu Vyadi, derangement of the air within the body, Buddhimanta Khan paid for all requisite medicines and treatments to cure the Lord. He was the Lord's constant companion in the Kirtan movement. He collected ornaments for the Lord when he played the part of the goddess of fortune in the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. He also went to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was staying at Jagannath Puri. Text 75. Garuda Pandit, the 37th branch of the tree, always engaged in chanting the auspicious names of the Lord. Because of the strength of this chanting, even the effects of poison could not touch him. Purport. Garuda Pandit was once bitten by a poisonous snake, but the snake's poison could not affect him because of his chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Don't try that at home, please. Thank you. These are eternal associates of the Lord. They can do things that ordinary people can't do. Text 76. Gopinath Singha, the 38th branch of the tree, was a faithful servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord jokingly addressed him as a Krura. Purport. Actually, he was a Krura, as stated in text 117 of the Gauraganudesh Deepika. Text 77. Devananda Pandit was a professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but by the mercy of Vakreshwar Pandit and the grace of the Lord, he understood the devotional interpretation of the Bhagavatam. Purport. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 21, it is stated that Devananda Pandit and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's father, Visharada, lived in the same village. Devananda Pandit was a professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like his interpretation of it. In the present town of Navadvip, which was formerly known as Kulia, Lord Chaitanya showed such mercy to him that he gave up the Mayavadi interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam and learned how to explain Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of bhakti. Formerly, when Devananda was expounding the Mayavadi interpretation, Srivas Thakur was once present in his meeting, and when he began to cry, Devananda's students drove him away. Some days later, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed that way, and when he met Devananda, he chastised him very severely because of his Mayavad interpretation of Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, Devananda had little faith in Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an incarnation of Lord Krishna, but one night sometime later, Vakreshwar Pandit was a guest in his house, and when he explained the science of Krishna, Devananda was convinced about the identity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus he was induced to explain Srimad Bhagavatam according to the Vaishnava understanding. In the Gauraganudesh Deepika 106, it is described that he was formerly Bhaguri Muni, the Sabha Pandit, who recited Vedic literatures in the house of Nanda Maharaj. It's interesting, all the personalities, it doesn't describe every single one of them as such, but it's a fact that the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have a one-in-one correlation to the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Brajadam, and therefore these personalities are all in both Leelas at the same time in Goloka Vrindavan. Text 78 and 79. Sri Kandavasi Mukunda and his son Raghunandana were the 39th branch of the tree. Narahari was the 40th, Chiranjeev the 41st, and Sulochan the 42nd. They were all big branches of the all-merciful tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They distributed the fruits and flowers of love of Godhead anywhere and everywhere. Purport. Sri Mukunda Das was the son of Narayana Das, an eldest brother of Narahari Sarkar. His second brother's name was Madhava Das, and his son was named Raghunandana Das. Descendants of Raghunandana Das still live 4 miles west of Katwa in the village named Srikanda, where Raghunandana Das used to live. Raghunandana had one son named Kanai, who had 2 sons, Madana Roy, who was a disciple of Narahari Thakur, and Bangsi Vadana. It is estimated that at least 400 men descended in this dynasty. All their names are recorded in the village of Srikanda. In the Gauraganudesh Deepika 175, it is stated that the gopi, whose name was Vrindadevi, became Mukunda Das, lived in Srikanda village, and was very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His wonderful devotion and love for Krishna are described in the Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä, chapter 15. It is stated in the Bhakti Ratnakara, 8th wave, that Raghunandana used to serve a deity of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Narahari Das Sarakara was a very famous devotee. Lochan Das Thakur, the celebrated author of Sri Chaitanya Mangala, was his disciple. In the Chaitanya Mangala, it is stated that Sri Gadadhar Das and Narahari Sarakara were extremely dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but there is no specific statement regarding the inhabitants of the village of Sri Khanda. Chiranjeev and Sulochan were both residents of Sri Khanda, where their descendants are still living. Of Chiranjeev's 2 sons, the elder, Ramachandra Kaviraj, was a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya and an intimate associate of Narottam Das Thakur. The younger son was Govinda Das Kaviraj, the famous Vaishnava poet. Chiranjeev's wife was Sunanda, and his father-in-law was Damodar Sen Kaviraj. Chiranjeev previously lived on the bank of the Ganges River in the village of Kumaranagar. The Gauragano Deshatipika 207 states that he was formerly Chandrika in Vrindavan. Text 80. Satyaraj, Ramananda, Yadunath, Purushottam, Shankar, and Vidyananda all belonged to the 20th branch. They were inhabitants of the village known as Kulinagram. Text 81. All the inhabitants of Kulinagram village, headed by Vaninath Vasu, were servants of Lord Chaitanya, who was their only life and wealth. Text 82. The Lord said, "What to speak of others? Even a dog in the village of Kulinagram is my dear friend." Text 83. No one can describe the fortunate position of Kulinagram. It is so sublime that even sweepers who tend their hogs there also chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Text 84. On the western side were the 43rd, 44th, and 45th branches, Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, and Anupam. They were the best of all. Purport. Sri Anupam was the father of Srila Jiva Goswami and younger brother of Sri Sanatan Goswami and Sri Rupa Goswami. His former name was Ballabha, but after Lord Chaitanya met him, he gave him the name Anupam. Because of working in the Muslim government, these 3 brothers were given the title Mulik. Our personal family is connected with the Muliks of Mahatma Gandhi Road in Calcutta, and we often used to visit their Radha Govinda temple. They belong to the same family as we do. Our family Gotra, or original genealogical line, is the Gautama Gotra, or line of disciples of Gautama Muni, and our surname is De. But due to their accepting the posts of zamindars in the Muslim government, they received the title Mulik. Similarly, Rupa, Sanatan, and Ballabha were also given the title Mulik. Mulik means Lord. Just as the English government gives rich and respectable persons the title Lord, so the Muslims gave the title Mulik to rich, respectable families that have intimate connections with the government. Thus, the title Mulik is found not only among the Muslims, but also among the Hindu aristocracy. This title is not restricted to a particular family, but is given to different families and castes. The qualifications for receiving it are wealth and respectability. Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami belong to the Bharadwaj Gotra, which indicates that they belonged either to the family or disciplic succession of Bharadwaj Muni. As members of the Krishna consciousness movement, we belong to the family or disciplic succession of Saraswati Goswami, and therefore we are known as Saraswatas. Obeisances are therefore offered to the spiritual master as Saraswata Deva, or a member of the Saraswata family. Namaste Saraswati Deve, whose mission is to broadcast the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauravani Pracharine, and to fight with impersonalists and voidists, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. This was the occupational duty of Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Anupam Goswami. The genealogical table of Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Ballabha Goswami can be traced back to the 12th century Shakabda, when a gentleman of the name Sarvagya appeared in a very rich and opulent Brahmana family in the province of Karnata. He had two sons, named Anirudera Rupeshwar and Harihara, who were both bereft of their kingdoms and thus obliged to reside in the highlands. The son of Rupeshwar, who was named Padmanabha, moved to a place in Bengal known as Naihati, on the bank of the Ganges. There he had 5 sons, of whom the youngest, Mukunda, had a well-behaved son named Kumaradev, who was the father of Rupa, Sanatan, and Ballabha. Kumaradev lived in Fatyabad, an area bordering Bakla Chandradweep in East Bengal, now Bangladesh. The present-day village of Prembagh, which lies near Rangshara in the Jessore district of Bangladesh, is said by many to be the site of Kumaradev's house. Of his many sons, 3 took to the path of Vaishnavism. Later, Sri Ballabha and his elder brothers, Sri Rupa and Sanatan, came from Chandradweep to the village in the Malda district of Bengal known as Ramakeli. It is in this village that Srila Jiva Goswami took birth, accepting Ballabha as his father. Because of engaging in the service of the Muslim government, the 3 brothers received the title Mulik. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the village of Ramakeli, he met Ballabha there. Later, Sri Rupa Goswami, after meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, resigned from government service, and when he went to Vrindavan to meet Lord Chaitanya, Vallabha accompanied him. The meeting of Rupa Goswami and Vallabha with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Allahabad is described in the Madhya-lilā, chapter 19. Allahabad. Actually, it is to be understood from the statement of Sanatana Goswami that Sri Rupa Goswami and Vallabha went to Vrindavan under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First they went to Mathura, where they met a gentleman named Suburi Roy, who maintained himself by selling dry fuel wood. He was very pleased to meet Sri Rupa Goswami and Anupam, and he showed them the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Thus they lived in Vrindavan for 1 month, and then again went to search for Sanatana Goswami. Following the course of the Ganges, they reached Allahabad, or Prayag Tirtha. But because Sanatana Goswami had come there by a different road, they did not meet him there. And when Sanatana Goswami came to Mathura, he was informed of the visit of Rupa Goswami and Anupam by Suburi Roy. When Rupa Goswami and Anupam met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Benares, they heard about Sanatana Goswami's travels from him, and thus they returned to Bengal, adjusted their affairs with the state, and on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. In the year 1436, Shakabda AD 1514, the youngest brother, Anupam, died and went back home, back to Godhead. He went to the abode in the spiritual sky where Sri Ramachandra is situated. At Jagannath Puri, Sri Rupa Goswami informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of this incident. Vallabha was a great devotee of Sri Ramachandra. Therefore, he could not seriously consider the worship of Radha Govinda according to the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yet, he directly accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, there is the following statement. Vallabha was given the name Anupam by Sri Gaurasundar, but he was always absorbed in the devotional service of Lord Ramachandra. He did not know anyone but Sri Ramachandra, but he knew that Chaitanya Gosai was the same Lord Ramachandra. In the Gauraganadesha Deepika 180, Sri Rupa Goswami is described to be the gopi named Sri Rupa Manjari. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, there is a list of the books Sri Rupa Goswami compiled. Of all his books, the following 16 are very popular among Vaishnavas. 1. Hangsa Dutta. 2. Uddhava Sandesh. 3. Krishna Janma Titi Vidi. 4 and 5. Radha Krishna Ganodesh Deepika. Brihat, major, and Lagu, minor. 6. Stavamala. 7. Vidagdha Madhava. 8. Lalita Madhava. 9. Dana Keli Kaumudi. 10. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is the most celebrated book by Sri Rupa Goswami. 11. Ujjwala Nilamani. 12. Akyata Chandrika. 13. Mathura Mahatmya. 14. Padavali. 15. Nataka Chandrika. And 16. Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Sri Rupa Goswami gave up all family connections, joined the renounced order of life, and divided his money, giving 50% to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and 25% to his kutumba, family members, and keeping 25% for personal emergencies. He met Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, where he also met Lord Chaitanya and his other associates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to praise the handwriting of Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami could compose verses according to the desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by his direction he wrote 2 books named Lalita Madhava and Vidagdha Madhava. Lord Chaitanya desired the 2 brothers, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to publish many books in support of the Vaishnava religion. When Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord advised him also to go to Vrindavan. Sri Sanatana Goswami is described in the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika 181. He was formerly known as Rati Manjari or sometimes Lavanga Manjari. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, it is said that his spiritual master, Vidya Vachaspati, sometimes stayed in the village of Ramakeli, and Sanatana Goswami studied all the Vedic literatures from him. He was so devoted to his spiritual master that this cannot be described. According to the Vedic system, if someone sees a Muslim, he must perform rituals to atone for the meeting. Sanatana Goswami always associated with Muslim kings, not giving much attention to the Vedic injunctions. He used to visit the houses of Muslim kings, and thus he considered himself to have been converted into a Muslim. He was therefore always very humble and meek. When Sanatana Goswami presented himself before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, "I am always in association with lower class people, and my behavior is therefore very abominable." He actually belonged to a respectable Brahmana family, but because he considered his behavior to be abominable, he did not try to place himself among the Brahmanas, but always remained among people of the lower castes. He wrote the Hari Bhakti Vilas and Vaishnava Toshani, which is a commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vaishnava Toshani is the commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Hari Bhakti Vilas is the book written under the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about Vaishnava achar, or prachar, or behavior. In the year 1476, in the year 1476, Shakabda, AD 1554, he completed the Brihat Vaishnava Toshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. In the year 1504, Shakabda, AD 1582, Srila Jiva Goswami published an edited version of the Brihat Vaishnava Toshani named Laghu Toshani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his principles through 4 chief followers. Among them, Ramananda Roy is exceptional, for through him the Lord taught how a devotee can completely vanquish the power of Cupid. By Cupid's power, as soon as one sees a beautiful woman, he is conquered by her beauty. Sri Ramananda Roy, however, vanquished Cupid's pride. Indeed, while rehearsing the Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, he personally directed extremely beautiful young girls in dancing, but he was never affected by their youthful beauty. Sri Ramananda Roy personally bathed these girls, touching them and washing them with his own hands, yet he remained calm and passionless, as a great devotee should be. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certified that this was not possible. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certified that this was possible only for Ramananda Roy. Similarly, Damodar Pandit was notable for his objectivity as a critic. He did not even spare Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his criticism. This also cannot be imitated by anyone else. Haridas Thakur is exceptional for his forbearance, because although he was beaten with canes in 22 marketplaces, he was nevertheless tolerant. Similarly, Sri Sanatana Goswami, although he belonged to a most respectable Brahmana family, was exceptional for his humility and meekness. In the Ädi-lilä, chapter 20, the device adopted by Sanatana Goswami to get free from government service is described. He served a notice of sickness to the Nawab, the Muslim governor, but actually he was studying Srimad Bhagavatam with Brahmanas at home. The Nawab received information of this through a royal physician, and he immediately went to see Sanatana Goswami to discover his intentions. The Nawab requested Sanatana to accompany him on an expedition to Orissa, but when Sanatana Goswami refused, the Nawab ordered that he be imprisoned. When Rupa Goswami left home, he wrote a note for Sanatana Goswami informing him of some money that he had entrusted to a local grocer. Sanatana Goswami took advantage of this money to bribe the jailkeeper and get free from detention. Then he left for Benares to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing with him only one servant, whose name was Ishana. On the way they stopped at a sarai, or hotel, and when the hotel keeper found out that Ishan had some gold coins with him, he planned to kill both Sanatana Goswami and Ishan to take away the coins. Later, Sanatana Goswami saw that although the hotel keeper did not know them, he was being especially attentive to their comfort. Therefore, he concluded that Ishan was secretly carrying some money, and that the hotel keeper was aware of this and therefore planned to kill them for it. Upon being questioned by Sanatana Goswami, Ishan admitted that he indeed had money with him, and immediately Sanatana Goswami took the money and gave it to the hotel keeper, requesting him to help them get through the jungle. Thus, with the help of the hotel keeper, who was also the chief of the thieves of that territory, Sanatana Goswami crossed over the Hazipur mountains, which are presently known as Hazirabags. He then met his brother-in-law, Srikanta, who requested that he stay with him. Sanatana Goswami refused, but before they parted, Srikanta gave him a valuable blanket. Somehow or other, Sanatana Goswami reached Varanasi and met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the house of Chandrasekhar. By the order of the Lord, Sanatana Goswami was cleanly shaved and his dress changed to that of a mendicant or babaji. He put on old garments of tapamishras and took prasadam at the house of a Maharashtrian Brahmana. Then in discourses with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord himself explained everything about devotional service to Sanatana Goswami. He advised Sanatana Goswami to write books on devotional service, including a book of directions for Vaishnava activities, and to excavate the lost places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his blessings to do all this work, and also explained to Sanatana Goswami the import of the Atma Rama verse from 61 different angles of vision. Sanatana Goswami went to Vrindavan by the main road, and when he reached Mathura, he met Subari Roy. Then he returned to Jagannath Puri through Jharkhand, the Madhya Pradesh jungle. At Jagannath Puri, he decided to give up his body by falling down beneath a wheel of the Jagannath Rath, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved him. Then Sanatana Goswami met Haridas Thakur and heard about the disappearance of Anupam. Sanatana Goswami later described the glories of Haridas Thakur. Sanatana observed the etiquette of Jagannath's temple by going along the beach to visit Lord Chaitanya, although it was extremely hot due to the sun. He requested Jagadananda Pandit to give him permission to return to Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised the character of Sanatana Goswami, and he embraced Sanatana, accepting his body as spiritual. Sanatana Goswami was ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to live at Jagannath Puri for 1 year. When Sanatana Goswami returned to Vrindavan after that time, he again met Rupa Goswami, and both brothers remained in Vrindavan to execute the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The place where Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami formerly lived has now become a place of pilgrimage. It is generally known as Gupta Vrindavan or Hidden Vrindavan, and is situated about 8 miles south of English Bazaar. There the following places are still visited. 1. The temple of Sri Madan Mohan deity. 2. The Keli Kadamba tree, under which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sanatana Goswami at night, and 3. Rupa Sagara, a large pond excavated by Sri Rupa Goswami. A society named Ramakeli Sanskara Samiti was established in 1924 to repair the temple and renovate the pond. So it's interesting that they made their place like a duplicate, replica of Vrindavan, and Rupa Goswami actually composed Hangsadutta, the book Hangsadutta, before he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they were great devotees before they had met the Lord. later Lord Chaitanya told Sarup Damodar that he saw them so qualified that he gave them his full mercy. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to stop here. And give everybody a chance to reflect, have further discussion, or whatever they would like. Hare Krishna.
Something from Gopal Roy.
Gopal Roy, that Sankirtan leader among Sankirtan leaders.
He says, please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Gopal Roy.
This chapter is so nice. I like to imagine similar descriptions and glorification being written about the disciples of Srila Prabhupada.
Mm. Yes, this is the glory of Lord Chaitanya's movement. The branches, when it describes how the branches are unlimited and they can't be quantified, it means that the branches kept going afterwards. Yes.
You had a question also.
Yes, please.
Says, we heard a list of books written by the Goswamis. As devotees in ISKCON, should we read these books if they have not yet been translated by the BBT?
Well, the first point is that if you do read these books, you should have assimilated Srila Prabhupada's books first. Now, this is what Prabhupada said. There was a sannyasi in Mayapur who was telling the devotees that they were not allowed to go and buy the books of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur in English. So they came to Prabhupada and asked him about it. And he said that this such and such devotee told us that we were not allowed to read the books of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Prabhupada said immediately, no, why? I have not said that. But then he said, but they should assimilate what I have given them first. Which is a big instruction, because to assimilate the Bhagavatam and Caitanya-caritämrta, I mean, that's a pretty hefty chore. You'd be lucky if you can assimilate the Bhagavatam in a lifetime. So I think it's safe to say that Prabhupada was not objecting to us reading the commentaries of the previous acharyas, but at the same time, he wanted us to read his books and preach and teach his books. Now, that said, it's also true, and I learned this from Gopi Paranananda Prabhu, who was the senior Sanskrit editor for Prabhupada after Prajumna Prabhu, and he was a great scholar and historian, and he told me when I was working with him on the Brihad Bhagavatamrita that he only trusted a couple of persons. I won't mention names. Banuswami was one of them, to translate without making too many mistakes. So I think the key is that unless we know the translator, and unless we know their spiritual credentials, we don't have the capacity, at least I don't, to know whether the translations are, proper or not. So I think to be on the safe side, we should adopt Gopi Puranadana Prabhu's attitude towards this. Once someone asked him that same question, and here was Gopi Puranadana Prabhu's answer. I'm paraphrasing, but the idea is clear. He said, just imagine what would have happened if the books of the Goswamis had not begun to be translated by some of our godbrothers. And we only had just Prabhupada's books. He said, first of all, he used the word can of worms, but it brought so many problems because most of those books did not have commentaries. And in order to find out what they meant properly, some of the leading authors and gurus after Prabhupada left, their followers were coming to them and asking them about these books. So in order to be able to answer them properly through a line favorable to Prabhupada, they went to one of the disciples of one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, the godbrother who gave him sannyas, Keshav Maharaj. And since then, there's been a proliferation of ideas and different approaches to these literatures, and many devotees have actually left Srila Prabhupada and gone to different acharyas, Gaudiya Math. Well, it's not really Gaudiya Math, but the different maths that used to be the Gaudiya Math. And many of them claim and feel and think, speak, that they are now higher. And in this way, minimizing Srila Prabhupada. There was a Sanskrit editor before Prabhupada left. His name was Nitai. And he also fell victim. Prabhupada was very careful to protect us from these things, because there's so many varieties of lines of authority, and most of them are in one way or another deviant. Not all of them, but most of them. And therefore we didn't have the capacity to distinguish, to discriminate. So Prabhupada was very careful to protect us from these things. And sure enough, he told us that better not to mix, and not just better, he told us not to mix with the Gaudiya Math, with his godbrothers and their followers, because they had a potential to cause disturbance, which every time a devotee does, it does cause disturbance, because they come back and try to convert others of us to go to their camp, this kind of thing. Mainly political. And therefore Gopi Puranadana was saying, better if you just stick to Prabhupada's books, because if you do, you will definitely go back to Godhead and you will not lose anything. Now there are authors, your Guru Maharaj is one, as you well know, and I've edited some of his books, who are in Prabhupada's line and who are very realized and clear. Those books are all right to read. But even Shivaram Maharaj, one of my best friends, wrote in a couple of his introductions to his books that unless you've read all of Prabhupada's books and have assimilated them, you shouldn't even read his books. So I think that the better part of valor is to err on the safe side. We now have Briya Bhagavatamrita, published by the BBT, which is excellent book. And use your judgment. Be careful. Hare Krishna.
Next is Rati Manjari.
Hare Krishna, Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai, glory to Prabhupada.
Indeed, a very nice chapter to hear. I marveled at the good fortune of the devotee who was able to copy many manuscripts and give them to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya called him Ratnabahu.
Yeah.
So nice.
Very nice.
Also, very nice to imagine was how one devotee, was it Buddhimanta Khan, who had the wonderful service to pay for the marriage of Nimai and his wife.
Yes.
So sweet how the all-opulent personality of Godhead, the source of everything, enables his devotee to facilitate and pay for his wedding.
Yes. Yeah, these personal accounts of the Lord's followers and their activities and their loving relationships and exchanges, they're the life and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We always want to associate with them, and this is the book that you can associate with them, that and Chaitanya Bhagavat. Yeah, they're wonderful. Especially the books about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are especially sweet because of his mission.
Rati Manjari also has a question.
Mm-hmm.
We heard how Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatana Goswamis, although born in Brahmana families, were associating with Muslims due to their occupations. As a result of this, they considered themselves fallen, thus teaching us humility. I was wondering whether you could elaborate on if there were any specific known reasons as to why the Goswamis began to associate with the Muslims.
We don't have any direct. There are theories, but we don't have anything that you could say is a historical fact. One of them was that they were noticed. One of the theories is that they were noticed by the Nawab Hussain Shah because of their caliber and their expertise, and he wanted them to join him. And we don't know for sure, but could be that he threatened, because he was a very powerful guy and very nasty. When he wanted Sanatana Goswami to go with him, he wanted to go and conquer Orissa, because he was always conquering and plundering and expanding his kingdom. So we don't know for sure, but it is in the character of that Nawab to do something like that, to threaten his relatives or whatever kind of mafia type thing, But like I said, it's Gopi Prandana Prabhu told me directly, and he's read all these books in the original. He was so learned and so expert. And he said there's nothing to really tie that down. One can easily imagine that because they were so qualified and expert, that now would want them to be with him, serve him. That's all I know. I'm not a very good historian, I'm afraid. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is that it for tonight? All right, everyone. Thank you very much again. Keep safe. Keep healthy. And keep happy by associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their eternal associates. Why? We have something from somebody else.
From Rati Manjari, she wrote, "Thank you, Guru Maharaj. What I like about the Leelas of the Goswamis is that they were able to tolerate the company of that plundering Nawab and not get contaminated."
Yes. Yes. This was all Leela. They were associates, eternal associates of the Lord. So as soon as they met, their original Krishna consciousness immediately came out. Lord Chaitanya picked up so many of his eternal associates as he roamed around, and anyway, yeah.
And they still behaved very humbly.
Yeah, they were very humble. They didn't go into the temple at Jagannath because they felt themselves fallen, and they have very strict, almost smarta type of rules of who can go in and who cannot go in. And that Westerners are not allowed, for example, and even Muslims are not allowed, and even other kinds of people are not allowed. Only very strict, Hindus. But Prabhupada said, we shouldn't be disturbed by that, even though in some political circles of ISKCON, they are disturbed by it. They're making some disturbance about it. But Prabhupada said better not to do that. And the example is Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They never went into the temple, but they never criticized or... It mentioned in one of these purports that Sanatana Goswami, when he went to see Sanatana Goswami, he would take the beach bath. Even when it was hot in summer, it gets so hot it can burn your feet. And so Lord Chaitanya asked him, which way did you come, Sanatana? He says, I came by the beach. You came by the beach? But it's the middle of the hot day, noonday sun, it's so hot. You must have blisters on your feet. Why did you do that? He says, I don't feel any blisters, but anyway, I couldn't risk going close to the temple and having one of the pujaris accidentally bump into me and ruin the offering. He was so humble. So these are our exemplars, our acharyas. We should be humble. We should not become proud of our position, proud of our lineage, proud of our whatever, anything external. Because if we are humble, then the sound can go in. The pride is the obstacle that does not allow the sound to go through the mind and the intelligence and down to the soul, where we're located, the heart, to change our heart, to change our conceptions and give us taste. Therefore, dainya, which means utter humility. The word dainya in Sanskrit means utter humility. Utter humility means one feels oneself most fallen, feels that everyone else is a devotee except for him or her. That was Srimati Radharani's position. And this relationship between prema, or love of Krishna, and dainya, which is utter humility, is described by Sanatana Goswami himself in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita to be such an intimate causal and effect relationship, one to the other. They're considered to be one and the same thing. No difference between prema and dainya. You cannot have dainya without prema, and you cannot have prema without dainya.
Rati She writes, and then became the great leaders of the Vaishnavas, fulfilling all the desires of Lord Chaitanya, thus providing us with the spiritual framework to be nourished into pure devotees of Lord Chaitanya for many generations to come.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Srila Prabhupada, translating and commentating their books for the whole world. And she writes also, pride in us closes the doors of the hearts of those whom we could otherwise reach and bring them closer to the parampara.
Yes. Well, not just that, it keeps us from hearing. But it is true also that it prevents our sound to be proper, to be able to uplift and spiritually enliven and change the hearts of others. So with the permission of all the Vaishnavas, I'll go now. I have to go and do something. Thank you so much again. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow night, same place, same station, same time.